most people, they will struggle in work because their purpose is to pay for their child's university, or put food on the table for their children, or to make their children and their family have a better life. And so in a world where everything should be in harmony, we wouldn't ideally want to be putting our body in stress. We want to be happy and excited all the time. And I was thinking that my parents and most people that I know will be in a shitty job that they hate for the sake of somebody else. So their purpose of being in this state of unease is for somebody else.
I'm here in the Caribbean in Mexico. I didn't know I liked it as much as I did 3 years ago when I came to visit for a week. And I was like, I really like it here. Like it vibes with and the things that I like. And so I've been here, 3 years, the majority of 3 years now. I'm curious what places in the world I would also like I like here. So in order to find out, I have to go and I have to experience it. Food, the people, all the things. And that makes, and then from there, once, like you said, once I have a good idea of what's out there, then I want to choose which places I like the most and where I want to spend the most of my time.
I find that I don't want kids and I don't want marriage and mortgage, and I'm struggling to find what is my life purpose going to be as I enter the real world of being an adult. I can't travel all the time. I can't just go partying all the time. And it's not, you can, but it's like not really nourishing. You need a real purpose, a selfless purpose for someone else to justify why you're doing what you're doing. And I'm thinking to myself, will I naturally fall down the path of eventually having kids? Because that's ingrained in humans to have this purpose for something else. Or do I continue my path of being free, doing whatever I want to do, and maybe not having that same fulfillment that others around me have? As I'm getting older, I'm realizing that I am going further away from the childhood self, and that childhood self had the ability to think and do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, and would come home and everything is just done for him. My parents would do everything, and they still do everything. I'm still that same person where everything is done for me, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, I am completely different. And I'm at that phase in my life where I actually want to move out and take control of my territory. And I'm looking around and I'm seeing that everyone I know is already in that phase. They've got kids, they've got marriage, they've got their mortgage, and they are adults. They've been adults for 5 years. And I look at my lifestyle and I'm like, I am an adult in a child's body. And I'm like, right, I know from experience that whatever I do in life, I always lag behind because of my Tourette's and how my brain works. But then as soon as I get to where they are, I overtake. I fucking overtake and I am just off. And so I'm just reflecting on how everything has got me to this very moment and how very grateful I am that I've had the ability to live the life that I have lived. And now I'm very excited to starting the next phase of my life, which is being an adult, paying bills, doing washing, cooking for yourself, and entering the real world as an adult.
I always love how we just start in a place where I have no idea where we're going to start. I'm sure the audience loves that as well. No, you made me think of why I started that phase of life, and it's because I needed the privacy to be able to have sex. Like that was always like my, so I didn't have parents or anybody that would allow me to do anything at the house. So I was, as soon as I got a car, it was a shitty car. That became like my hotel on wheels. And then from there, because of sports, I went to college, and I can never go back. I like to, my family always wants me to come back and spend more time, but every day there, it means a day that I'm not having sex with any of my partners. So that makes it tough. But it sounds like you have more freedom than that.
So, I was thinking about today how most people, they will struggle in work because their purpose is to pay for their child's university, or put food on the table for their children, or to make their children and their family have a better life. And so in a world where everything should be in harmony, we wouldn't ideally want to be putting our body in stress. We want to be happy and excited all the time. And I was thinking that my parents and most people that I know will be in a shitty job that they hate for the sake of somebody else. So their purpose of being in this state of unease is for somebody else. You take that away, what's left? You're left with an individual with no purpose in a place where they're unhappy, and that's the end of it. And then it reminded me of back in the day when we were just apes, where we'd probably die at 15, we'd have a kid at 1, 2, and the little monkey would follow us around, and we teach it how to fish and how to get down coconuts, and then it pisses off, and then we shag again, and then we do the same thing, and then it pisses off, and then we shag again, and then it does the same thing, and then eventually we'll be 15, and then we'll be dead. And so our purpose completely was to help the offspring survive. These days we have that same purpose until 18, and then the offspring pisses off. So it's like, what do we do now? And it goes back to, we need a purpose in life. It is so important to have a purpose. And I find that I don't want kids, and I don't want marriage and mortgage, and I'm struggling to find, what is my life purpose going to be as I enter the real world of being an adult? I can't travel all the time. I can't just go partying all the time. And it's not, you can, but it's like not really nourishing. You need a real purpose, a selfless purpose for someone else to justify why you're doing what you're doing. And I'm thinking to myself, will I naturally fall down the path of eventually having kids? Because that's ingrained in humans to have this purpose for something else. Or do I continue my path of being free, doing whatever I want to do, and maybe not having that same fulfillment that others around me have?
I've given a lot of thought to both parts of this question, this statement. First, with kids, like, it's interesting because a lot of the people that are my age, I'm 42, and a lot of people that are my age have families, and some of them have kids that are 20 years old, like some of the guys that I grew up with. And for me, it's just, I always have, like, appreciate good parents, and, you know, all the parents out there doing a great job. But for me, having to focus all my attention on another human that is in the phase where they want to watch cartoons, they want to sing, you know, little fun songs, like we can't watch, you know, certain movies at the theater because there's cussing or nudity. It just, to me, it just, I'm so far on the other side of the spectrum as far as being an adult. Like, I host play parties, and, you know, I'm, you know, having sex as much as I want to, and blah, blah, blah. So I've just never got to the point where I wanted to focus my attention in being in the kid world again. So if that changes one day, then maybe I give it some additional thought. But that, like, I just like being on the adult side of the spectrum. There was a part 2 to this, but I forgot where I was going, so it'll come back to me in a second. But have you thought about that? Like, when you watch parents, like, with kids and families, like, they're always doing kid shit. And I don't do a lot of kid shit. Like, it just doesn't sound that fun to me. So I don't know. It's
yeah. So from 21, I've always had the strict dead mindset of no marriage, no mortgage, no kids. Right. Everything from the opposite of society, because I hated society, had no friends at school. So whatever society said to do, I did the opposite. And up until this recent moment, as I'm getting older and I am seeing everyone else's lives to settle, and I'm seeing my sister eventually going to be having a kid soon, I'm seeing, like, okay, real life suddenly happening. We've gone through another phase where you've kind of met your partner, you've had marriage, and now you got to the kid phase. And I am asking myself, would I actually have children if it was with the right person? And would I have the mindset, the attention span, the patience to put up with a child for so long? And like Simon Cowell, having his child, Eric, saved his life. And I agree that if you have a child, all of a sudden you go from being selfish to serving and selflessly doing everything for the children. I'm well aware of that. If I had a child, I would be that, and I'd be a great father. The problem is the life I could have had without children versus the life I have or could have with children. Is it justified? Now, I'm also thinking, as you get older, and I'm, say, 50, 60, most people, they'd have children and grandchildren. You extend your family. You've always got something to do. There's always a party. There's always a barbecue. There's always a wedding. There's always a christening. You have this huge extended family. So there's always going to be something to do, meaning you have a purpose to go see the uncle or the auntie or the cousins or go to the theme park ride with your grandchildren. So you've constantly got a purpose. It's almost like it's just there. If I don't have that path, what's my purpose going to be? Spending time with my sister's children? Great. Parents won't be here at some point? Great. I'll have a partner? Great. What can you do with your partner enough that you're always going to be fulfilled for the next 40 years? Is it going to be enough? Which goes back to the purpose of, are we supposed to just keep having children to give us a purpose until we die? But because of how life is, we have this option, but deep down, will the grain in us of doing what nature is will always come to the surface?
You reminded me of the second thing that I forgot, which was purpose. So for me, purpose is maybe simpler than what a lot of people may think of it as, because the life that I am creating for myself and living, right now, is created on purpose, and it's repeatable. Like someone could say, okay, by paying attention to your energy, to your frequency, and manifesting, a peaceful, happy life, also that translates into my favorite things to do, my favorite activities, which number one favorite activity is having sex with my partners, and seeing how far the frequency can go. Oliver and I have had some awesome conversations about that in the past shows. And, from there, I know that I could help anyone also create whatever life sounds fun for them. Now, kids can be included in this at any time. Like I could choose to include a chunk of my life, which would be a big chunk, percentage, and focus on that. And I agree with Oliver. I'd be a great dad too if I chose to go that route. Right now, I'm just giving a much higher percentage of time to creating the life that sounds really fun for me. And then the purpose for me is anyone else that right now isn't living the life that they want to be living. They're not having the pleasure that they want to have. They don't feel like they're the best lover that they can be. I know I can help with that. It's a very repeatable process. And then that feels good to me anytime I can help someone, tackle that part of their life and improve it. If they want to have family and all that stuff, like, we can all create the life that we want. But it's just, for me, purpose is just helping others have what I've been able to create, if that's what they want to. And I'm always happy to do that. That feels enough purpose for me right now. And if I want to put that purpose into a family and extended family, maybe. But I have a lot of fun just hanging out with my partners. and
what's interesting is that we know that people who adopt children can bring up that child as if it's theirs, and they don't see it as not theirs, it's their child. And we also see families, or should I say, we also see people that aren't blood related call other people family, and they are more family than their actual family. So we know that you don't have to be blood connected to people to feel like they're family and to call them family and to have them in your life as family, such as having somebody over for dinner at Christmas who isn't blood, but they're part of your family. And then their children and their extended friendships become a part of your bigger family. So it doesn't have to be blood related, which means that essentially the term family is just having a strong connection over the average person that you would call friend, which means you don't need to have children to have that family purpose. You can serve your adopted children, you can serve your nieces and nephews, you can serve your best friends' children. That feels like family to you. And that might be enough. That might give you that wholeness that you are seeking from having a family. And I personally believe that the reason why people would choose to have a family versus just following the pattern of having a family. It's because they want to feel this wholeness that they don't already have. And I think that if you find this wholeness within yourself, then you won't feel the need to have something or someone else complete you and give you that wholeness.
It's really a true story. Yeah, no, I've seen exactly what you're saying. A lot of people that they seem to have kids because that's like what's next, what's supposed to be next in life. Like that's the next step. You know, like going to school was the first step, and then going to get a good job was the next step, and then have it like. And I'm like you, similar to you. Like I've never looked at my life as like, okay, what does society say I'm supposed to do next? Like, of course, I went to school because like I didn't have a choice when I was a kid. But after that, like, and I worked jobs that I didn't want to work, when I was in my early 20s and all that stuff. And then I realized like that wasn't for me either. Having another adult tell me what to do and, how to do it, like that didn't align with me. So, since I've been an adult, like I've been living my life based off of what feels aligned for me. And I highly recommend everybody, live their life that way. And if that, for some people, they really have always been excited to have family and kids, and they're very family oriented. That was never like, I would participate on the holidays. Like I wasn't like a Scrooge, McDuck or anything, but, my mom was way more in the holidays than I was, so like right now it's just like, it's not something that I'm like longing to have family so that I could do the holidays and open presents with kids. And my sister has a nephew, has a son. My nephew's 2 years old, and so I'll hang out and like be around him. And then I have gotten my fix of kid stuff, and then I go back to being an adult. So I love kids, and I also love giving them back to their parents when I'm done.
And what I recently worked out is that the more time people spend with themselves, the more whole they become, and the less complications and other things they want in their life that will take away that wholeness. So the stress of looking after a kid, the stress of cooking dinner, the stress of taking a kid to school, the stress of paying bills. When you are so whole and you feel great all the time, and you've got control over your emotions and your energy, you don't want anything to change that. And I find that because we just roll into uni from school and a job from uni and a relationship from uni, and then you move in with somebody, and then you get your dog, and then you get your house, and then you get your kid. No one has enough time to sit with themselves, to become whole, where you feel so good that you don't want any stress of children and bills and arguments with the wife and all this nonsense that happens at work. We're not sitting with ourselves long enough. We're just rolling in. And I think that if a lot of people sat with themselves, they wouldn't be so eager to go into that pattern. And if you look at a lot of spiritual, awakened, conscious people, there's a reason why a lot of them don't have relationships, they don't have kids, and they can't hold down a job. It's because they've spent so much time with themselves that they're always doing them. They're doing their breath work, they're doing their yoga, they're eating well, they're drinking well, they're getting loads of sleep because they've not got a job. They are free spirits. So how can you then take that amazing energy that you are getting from source and then have a job, be around people you don't like, getting up for work in the morning and having no sleep? You can't do it. So they live a very minimalistic life, but they are whole. And then every time they come across somebody, if they're not aligned with that person, then they won't get into a relationship with them. And that's the pattern I'm seeing with loads of people in my scene, where they're spending so much time with themselves, they're becoming so out of sync with the average person, they don't have the ability to cope with arguments and the bullshit that comes with normal life. They can't handle stress of a job and dealing with adult stuff because they've had a life of wholeness for so long that anything at dissonance around them is just too much. And so if there's an argument, it's, oh, we're not aligned, go away. And so they're going through life where they're not in the adult real world, which means that a lot of these people will never have the modern life of the average person. And so it goes back to the point of, if people spent enough time with themselves, maybe they wouldn't be so quick to jump into these patterns to make them whole, because they would have found that wholeness and wouldn't put up with uncomfortable energy and feelings that most people put up with, because they know what it's like to not experience that dissonance because they've been in harmony for so long.
For sure. No, this parallels into all areas of life too. Like relationships, for example. The last monogamous relationship I was in was 9 years ago now. And I mean, it seemed like just yesterday. You know, we had the animals that we had, the house, like all that stuff. And we broke up amicably because I just realized, like, for me, like the construct of monogamy, that agreement just didn't work for me anymore. And we decided that it would be better for us to do our own thing. And since then, the majority of these 9 years, like if I was to say who's in my bed when I go to sleep every night for these 9 years, it's been majority just me for the 9 years. Obviously, there's been nights where, you know, there's been periods of time where I've had a partner that I was spending a lot of time with. I'm actually in one of those phases right now where I've been spending the last 3 months with a new partner, a girl that came to one of my play parties, and we've been inseparable for the last 3 months. And it's been great. Like, I enjoy those times, but like Oliver was mentioning, like I've become so whole and complete solo over these last 9 years. I haven't required anyone. Like, I don't cry myself to sleep every night when I'm in bed with myself. Like, it's just, I actually have grown to really enjoy my alone time. And, you know, I'm super productive if I want to be, or I can just relax if I want to be. I can do whatever I want. And so it's allowed me, when I do have, you know, like the partner that's come into my life now, that is just a nice addition. Like I've told her from the beginning, I was like, I like being alone. You like being alone. It's important for her as well. She also likes being alone. But it just seems to be more fun when we're spending time together. So we keep doing it. And that's what I would want for anyone is, you know, be totally okay solo. And if you do choose to spend time with other people, whether it be business partnerships, friendships, intimate relationships, you're doing it because it's just even more enjoyable to spend time with other people, to bring them into your world. And yeah, things like arguments and, you know, unnecessary stress. Like, why would you include someone in your world that is taking away? Like, if you're having a more enjoyable time solo, like you wouldn't even consider bringing someone in that disrupts that. So, but a lot of people miss that step because, you know, I've observed so many people that they seem to always need to have a group of friends around, like always have to be, you know, going out. Like, it can't ever be a Friday or a Saturday without them having to go somewhere. And I'm just like, I just because it's Friday on the calendar does not require me to go do anything. Like, I could still. So, you know, if people miss that step, a lot of times they're constantly trying to fill the hole that, you know, they have within themselves right now. And that's never going to work. It's just going to be, you know, one relationship to the next, or one friendship to the next, or one business partnership to the next. Could be a roller coaster ride for sure. So
that is so interesting, because when I was younger, because of my like Tourette's and ADHD, I couldn't spend 5 minutes by myself watching TV. I always had to be doing something, knocking on friends' doors, going clubbing, going to the casino, going to the pub, and I had no friends. So I used to do this all by myself. So as soon as it was Friday, it would be right. I'm going out, going to a club by myself, going to the pub by myself, going to the casino by myself. I had to be doing something. And I have seen a lot of the people around when I used to go clubbing, they're still going out with their friends in their 30s, and they've had relationships. Some of them have split from their partners, but they're still doing that. And some of them are going out most probably to find their next partner. And it goes back to you saying, just because it's Friday doesn't mean you have to go out, and doesn't mean you have to be with people. It's like automatic. It's weekend. Let's go out. Let's get drunk, whatever. Versus, I'm just going to sit in on a Friday by myself, order a chow mein and watch TV. But it's almost like we can feel our friends judging us, and it makes us so uncomfortable that we can't sit through that uncomfortable feeling, and that we've got to remove it by doing the opposite of what is making us feel uncomfortable, which is going out. And actually, it's just nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm people think, because I host a lot of parties, and people think that I'm like super social. It's the only, like, I went to my partner, she was hosting an event last week, and it was cool, like sound healing and like different stuff, and like her and her girls like put together this awesome event. And I was like, I think this might be the first social event I've gone to in 2024 that I wasn't hosting. So like, I host events because if I am going to go to an event, like, I know in my mind what I enjoy. Plus, I make money from them, because I charge people to come. So it's like, it's doing the things that I enjoy the most, like whatever social activities that I like, combined with bringing me in abundance, it works for me. But when I'm invited to like other things, it's just like, I don't know. I don't go out a lot and go do a lot of things. It takes someone inviting me that I really care about to get me to go do anything, but just like random, place. And I've had my phases too, where I was like going out like all the time, searching for, something. But I'm definitely not in that phase anymore, and don't really expect to go back into that phase because I'm very simple. I like to chill, and the things that I like to do most, I go to jail if I do it out in public. So I tend to stay home more because I like to, I like to do those things.
I've always known from a very, very early stage that life goes in seasons. So when I was younger at school, I would know that in 8 years' time, I will be a millionaire. I'll be traveling the world, and you would be in a very unhappy marriage, mortgage, and then a few years later, you'd end up getting divorced and moving back in with your parents. Because I recognized that the patterns in life occur and no one's any different. And so I always saw how life would be. I saw that right now, a lot of my friends, they've been with each other for like 7, 8 years. They've got the marriage, they've got the house, and they've split up. And I saw all this, and it was almost like, well, I knew it was going to happen, so why would I do it? Because I'm no different. So part of me has seen that and realized I'm no different and has watched it happen. The other part of me craves what the majority of people have, because naturally we all want what everyone else has. And I've lost my train of thought.
Maybe do you, because you're saying crave what they have, do you really though? Until you have it, and then you're like, oh, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah. So seasons. So the point is that life happens in seasons. So you've got your early days at school when you're just all about friends and life is great, and then you separate from your friends, and then you have one-on-one, and then you build a life with that one-on-one partner, and all the friends you had, slowly you start not to speak to them anymore, and then you create new friends. Maybe friends with your neighborhood. Maybe your children has friends from school and they become your friends. And as you go through life, there's phases. You don't see those uni friends anymore. And as your children's friends leave school and start their phase of life, then you don't see their parents anymore. And then you get to the point where your children have left and now you're 50, 60 and you don't have those friends anymore. And so you might move to a new place and then there's new friends and neighbors. I've always seen life having seasons. And I think to myself, is life just so complicated for me because I can predict what's going to happen? And as a smart person who doesn't want to get involved in a situation that's going to cause me distress, am I just not bothering? Am I just not bothering going into the jungle where I know there's going to be a snake and it's going to bite me? But then is life about the experiences of going through everything? And it isn't about just being comfortable and only choosing the path of least resistance. Oh, I'm only going to have that relationship if it's just going to be highs all the time. Great sex every night, no arguments. She does what I say. And the reality is that that's probably not real in life. And so it's like embrace everything life has to offer, as opposed to just doing things that are going to make you feel comfortable only, which is why I'm at the phase of wanting to move out, because I've been comfortable and now I need to grow, which will probably cause me extra stress and financial worries and shit like that. But ultimately, you only grow when you're uncomfortable.
For sure. No, I mean, I always tell everybody, like, if there's anything that in life, an experience that sounds interesting, curious, adventurous, I mean, of course, if it sounds exciting, like, do it. But for all those, like, whichever one of those adjectives you would apply to an experience or potential experience, that's why we came here and decided to be human. That's why we have these bodies, is to have experiences. And yeah, all the experiences are not going to be rainbows and unicorns, for sure. But that's why we came here, to have experiences. Now, if an experience is like, I'm not really that interested in that, and doesn't sound that adventurous, and I'm not excited about it, and also I don't say yes to those experiences for any reason. Like, it doesn't matter if people peer pressure me, or I'm supposed to have a family, or I'm supposed to do. I don't live my life based off of anything other than, do I want to have this experience? Yes or no. And if people do that for themselves, then once you say yes, because nobody forced you, nobody put a gun to your head and said you have to go have the experience, then my advice is be as present as you can and really take in that full experience. So then you have clarity of, wow, I actually really enjoy that. I want to have more of these experiences. Or happy. Like, people ask me, I'm here living in, the Caribbean, here in Mexican Caribbean. And they ask me, do you salsa dance? Do you do all this stuff? And I always answer the same way. I was like, I've taken enough dance classes to know that I don't want to do anymore. But I've taken like all the different types that people name out. I've taken a dance class in that, and I didn't enjoy it enough to want to do it more. But I'm not wondering. I wonder what I like salsa. It's just not something that I want to do right now. Maybe it changes in the future. So, but it was curious. I was curious about it enough to have the experience. But now I have the clarity to say I don't want more of those experiences. And that's tough too, because there's some sexy girls that do salsa dancing. If you can get into Latin dance out there, anybody, like, I highly recommend if that's something that you want to do, because I wish I could snap my fingers and be really good at it, and then just be around the girls that are doing it.
So as we know, our energy attracts our tribe, and it's given off frequencies all the time. You attract the same people. So if the average person just wants a family life and they hang around with those types of people that also want a family life, and you see them getting involved in a family life and getting a house and getting a mortgage and leaving uni, well, naturally, you're going to see that, because that's all that you look around you and see. That's all that you've known. That's your environment. So all those people are going to follow those patterns. Black sheep like you and me, for example, that didn't fit in. We start going off on our own world and creating our own life that we want to create, versus following the life that other people live and trying to get us to live also, which means we now become a different frequency and attract different types of people which mimic what we already are. So people who are not tied down, people who are free-spirited, people who've got money, people that work online, people that enjoy sex and intimacy, people that travel the world. Well, because we are that vibration, we're going to attract more of those types of people in the places that we will go to, which reaffirm, yes, this life is brilliant because he's doing it, he loves it, she's doing it, she loves it. So really, we're just echo chambers of our own thoughts, which goes back to being different and not being part of the pack when we were younger. So really, there is no wrong or right in this world. It is just your environment shapes you, and then you can choose to shape your environment by continuing that pattern until, as you say, it no longer serves you. You might suddenly start to dance again. You might suddenly want children. I'm like you. I've got to get it out of my system to know I don't like it or not. So try every bit of food, try all types of dancing, try skiing, try snowboarding, try pigeon shooting, try go-karting, try rock climbing. Do it all, so at least you know you like it or you don't like it, and you know not to waste your time doing something like salsa dancing because you don't like it. But it doesn't mean that you won't come back to it in the future. And it's the real reason why I want to travel the world, because I know that once I've traveled to every country, I can choose my favorite ones. But it's more uncomfortable not traveling and not knowing in the first place of, oh, I wonder how great that place would be. Get it all done and then choose. Do all the dancing. I know I don't like that. We always used to take piss out of my dad. He always has a prawn linguine when he goes out to a restaurant. And I go, why do you always have a prawn linguine? There's so much on the menu. He goes, I like what I like. I know I don't like that. I've had it before. That's it. I like my prawn linguine, and I've chosen the prawn linguine. And he's absolutely right. If you like something, great. If you don't, great.
For sure. That is what you described is, like, if somebody said, Noel, what sounds most fun to you in life as far as what you want to experience? We have such a big, amazing world, so many countries that I have not been to. And I'm just curious to know, like, the country I'm in right now, I'm here in the Caribbean in Mexico. I didn't know I liked it as much as I did 3 years ago when I came to visit for a week. And I was like, I really like it here. Like it vibes with me and the things that I like. And so I've been here, 3 years, the majority of 3 years now. I'm curious what places in the world I would also like I like here. So in order to find out, like I have to go and I have to experience it, the food, the people, all the things. And that makes, and then from there, once, like you said, once I have a good idea of what's out there, then I want to choose which places I like the most and where I want to spend the most of my time in. And I'm not attached to anything. Like I'm not attached just because I'm from the US. Like I spend very little time in the US now because I have a really good idea of what it's like. Like I've been in all the cities in the US that I wanted to spend time in. I've lived in all the cities that I wanted to live in. So now for me, it's more about what else is out there, who else is out there. And to me, that feels of interest because there's so many countries that I haven't experienced and, that I want to. And as long as there's stuff that feels of interest, then to me, life sounds really fun.
So there's this thing called like geolocation or something where irrelevant to where you were born physically on the earth, your energy is supposed to be somewhere else. So to me, if everyone watched and saw and did the same thing in the same village, like back in the day, they'd all know the same people, they'd all eat the same food, they'd all see the same thing. There's no online. It is just what you see is there. Everyone's got the same energy. Hence why back in the day, you'd marry the person at 14 in the local village, and then you're married forever, right? There was no choice. Everyone's the same. Once you found your person, you've got your person. Nowadays, because of online, and people traveling the world, we are raising our vibration to different frequencies that are just in the place that we are born. So the fact that you feel more comfortable in Mexico versus where you're born in California means that the energy where you are is more in alignment to your energy. And that's probably because the people there have also gone there because their energies were in their hometown weren't aligned with them. So now you're all gravitating to one place where the pull is either so strong because of where it is in the earth, or the collective consciousness of people over time has created a vortex of some similar energy that you now are attracted to that energy. So that if they left, really, it's not the place that is keeping you there, it's the people. But you won't know until that time comes, until they bugger off. Is it the resonance of that specific part of the earth or the people? And that's when you realize, oh, I can go to anywhere in the world. I might suddenly decide to move somewhere else because it feels right to go there. And if you break it down, it could be that the collective consciousness of people have gone there instead and they've left Mexico. And actually, you're just following energy of like-minded people. Yeah.
No, true story. Like I know the different features of geography and like the climate and like that I enjoy. But there's been multiple times since I've been here in the years that I've been here that I've almost left. And I was like literally as far as like looking at Airbnbs, looking at flights, timing it up in my mind. And just as recently as 3 months ago, before I met my partner that I have now, it's interesting. The universe knows how to keep me in a place. Just bring me a new partner that I enjoy spending time with. But I was looking at Australia because I was like, it's about to be their summertime. I've been there a few times. And there's parts of it that I haven't been to that I wanted to go explore. I like the people. I'm attracted to the girls in Australia. They speak English. I speak English. So it was just summertime, and I'm not willing to travel north so much right now because it's too cold for me. So south sounded good, but it's just a lot trying to deal with Australia right now. Do I want to be that far away? And so it just wasn't a good timing. And then all of a sudden I met my partner, and now I'm not even considering. I actually did the opposite. I finally got my residency in Mexico, so I could just be here anytime I want and come and go as I please instead of only going on visas, tourist visas. So that was a big step for me. It's the first country that I have 2 passports, but it's the first time I've had a residency where I could just be in a country anytime I want to. So that's cool. But yeah, man, it's definitely the people for me. Like I wish this for anyone to be able to go anywhere in the world and know that there's cool people there that you vibe with. You don't know them yet, but you'll meet them. And so I feel so comfortable traveling solo and just seeing who I meet and, Normally it's a new partner that happens, in a first, few days or weeks that I'm there. And then I feel at home. I'm going to the gym like I do everywhere else, and I'm learning the new food, and I'm simple. I'm just trying to feed my body what it wants, and then I'm just hanging out in the new place. So yeah, I wish this for everyone, the comfort ability to be able to move around the world, whether you have someone to move around the world with or not. Like, there's 8 billion people on the planet. So I never feel alone anywhere I go, except when I was in Costa Rica, and it was the most beautiful nature that I've ever been in. However, I didn't speak good enough Spanish to be in that part of the country that I was in. I went 2 full days, I remember, without meeting anyone that spoke English. Like, anybody that I talked to on the street, anyone in the restaurants, anyone at the gym, like, I didn't find a single soul that spoke English for 2 days straight. And I'm like, damn, like, I actually feel pretty alone here because I can't communicate with anyone. So that I've noticed with me is a little bit of a challenge. But other than language challenge, like, I feel pretty at home anywhere.
Right. Is there anything you want to promote or plug before we finish?
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I'm happy if you connect with me on Instagram, and I can help you guys out there be the best lover that you can be, have unlimited stamina. Life is simple to me. It's energy and the physical body, and it's all energy. So if you can work on both, get your frequency as high as it can be, and then work on your physical body, even the parts that you're using in the bedroom, guys and girls out there, if you're not exercising those parts, then you're only getting partial pleasure. You could go way further. And if I could ever help with that, Oliver will put the link. Just get in contact with me. Tell me that you want to know what I know, and I'll share with you the things that I can share with you.
And if you'd one day left to live on the planet, what's the one thing you'd tell the rest of the world?
Just to remember that nobody's any better or any worse. We're all divine. We all chose to come here and have a human experience at this time in human history. And we're all doing the best that we can on our journey. So have compassion for yourself, have compassion for other people, and just experience life as however you want to. And just know that if you choose to walk up to somebody and slap the hell out of them, then the equal and opposite reaction will likely be they slap the hell out of you or you lose your freedom. So, be kind to each other, but don't think that you're any better than anybody else, and, have fun on your journey. If I can help you, let me know.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please remember to subscribe, turn the bell notifications on, like the episode, and comment below. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's YesKingOliver. Take a look at the other videos to your side. And if you just want to listen to this podcast, you can do so on Apple and Spotify and most other platforms by going to talkwitholiver.com.